Hello there, fandoms of the world. My name is The Geek Theorist, and welcome to my countdown of the top 10 best competitive Pokemon from Sun and Moon that aren't Tapus, Legendaries, or Ultra Beasts. That's right, folks. In this video, I'm going to be counting down the best Pokemon in the Alola region from 10 to 1. But here's the catch. If you've played Pokemon Sun and Moon or are familiar with the competitive scene at all, you know that the entire meta is absolutely riddled with Tapus and Ultra Beasts. Well, I want to shine the spotlight on some Pokemon that aren't getting enough love because they're stuck in the shadows of these monstrous Pokemon. So be sure to leave a like and or comment for these underrated mons, and let's get right into things. At number 10, we have none other than the absolute monster, Crabominable. Now I hear what you're saying already, but wait, doesn't Crabominable only have like 0 speed? And you're right, Crabominable's speed isn't the best, setting at a clean base 43. But I'll tell you what, you get this baby out under a little thing called Trick Room, and your opponent is in for some trouble. Crabominable has a whopping base 132 attack, and gets stabbed from ice and fighting type attacks, two of the strongest offensive types in the game right now. Do not sleep on Crabominable. I admit that under most situations, his poor speed and relatively low defenses mean he's not all that viable. But under Trick Room, he's an absolute monster. And that's why he's here, rounding out the list at number 10. If you thought you'd had your fair share of slow, physically offensive Pokemon with Crabominable, then allow me to introduce you to a little friend of mine named Golisopod. That's right, at number 9 on our list, we have none other than Anchor Arms itself. If you played through Sun and Moon the way I did, then you know the joy of turning your tiny little Wimpod into this Brock Lesnar looking beast right here. But why is this Pokemon strong competitively, you're asking? Well, I'll tell you why. Golisopod tears through teams with a whopping 125 base attack stat. Sure, that's less than Crabominable's base 132, but hear me out. While Golisopod may also lack speed, it can back it up with a powerful base 140 defense. Basically what that means is do not even try to hit this Pokemon on the physical side. In addition to that, Golisopod gets access to its signature move, First Impression, a bug move that can only be used on the first turn of battle, but that is a 90 base power priority attack. Combine that with Golisopod's ability, which switches the Pokemon out when its HP drops below half, and that means Golisopod can pop its head into a battle, get off a powerful First Impression, get hit by an attack that knocks its HP below half, and then pop right back out to do it all over again. For those reasons, Golisopod is here at number 9 on our list. At number 8, we're following up Anchor Arms with the literal anchor itself. That's right, sitting here at number 8, we've got none other than Dhelmise. I hear you already. Another slow, physically offensive Pokemon? But again, I'm telling you to hear me out. So what can Dhelmise do? Just like Golisopod and Crabominable, Dhelmise hits a very high base physical attack, sitting at a clean 141. However, what if I told you that this Pokemon has not 1, not 2, but essentially 3 stabs? That's right, Dhelmise's ability Steelworker powers up its Steel-type attacks by 50%. That means you're dishing out 1.5 times damage for Grass, Ghost, and Steel-type attacks. Pair that with some powerful attacks like Power Whip, Heavy Slam, Shadow Claw, and Dhelmise's signature move, Anchor Shot, and you got a recipe for destruction. Not to mention Dhelmise's decent defenses, with a nice base 100 physical defense and base 90 special defense. Dhelmise can take hits and dish out some serious damage, and that's why it's number 8 on this list. At number 7, we have, in my opinion, one of the best designed Pokemon of Gen 7, Araquanid. At first, Araquanid's stats are pretty lackluster. Sure, it gets 125 base special defense and some decent physical defense, but other than that, there's not much to write home about. Well, let me tell you something that's gonna have you writing letters to your mama about this beautiful, spider-looking beast. Araquanid's good defenses are supported by its incredible ability, Water Bubble, which doubles the power of water-type attacks and halves the damage taken by fire-type attacks. That's right, Araquanid's ability makes it practically 2 times as strong. Now, its physical attack is better than its special attack, but don't let that stop you from rocking out with a stab 2 times powered Scald, one of the most broken moves in the game. Araquanid already has amazing special defense, and if you manage to get that burn with Scald, which you will, cause it's Scald, say goodbye to taking any damage whatsoever. Araquanid also gets access to the new base 80 power Leech Life. So if you want to follow that Scald up with a powerful Leech Life to gain all that HP back, go ahead. Araquanid's ability and typing are amazing, and it earns its spot here at number 7. It's number 6, and now we're getting into the real monsters of Gen 7. Starting off with none other than Wishy Washy. So what can Wishy Washy do? Oh, I'll tell you what it can do. Have you ever heard of a little ability called School Form? That's right, immediately when it enters battle, this tiny little fish becomes the massive Wishy Washy School Form, boasting some of the most consistently high base stats across the board. There's not much else to say about Wishy Washy on the positive side. Just look at those stats and know that Pure Water is honestly one of the best typings in the game. Of course, we have to address this Pokemon's drawback, which is what kept it from being higher on this list. When Wishy Washy School Form drops below 25%, it turns back into the wimpy Solo form and loses its incredible stats. Still, up until that point, Wishy Washy is an absolute monster, which is why it's sitting here at number 6 on our list. At number 5, we got a Pokemon that doesn't look like much at first, but one with the power to single-handedly blow whole teams away. That's right, our number 5 best Pokemon in Sun and Moon is Minior. Much like Wishy Washy, Minior is a Pokemon which changes forms depending on its remaining HP. However, unlike Wishy Washy, Minior gets access to one of the most powerful setup moves in the game, Shell Smash. That's right, folks. Minior may only be able to do one thing essentially, but it does that one thing so well that it's hard to look past. After setting up a Shell Smash and getting 2 times boost to its attack, special attack, and speed, Minior will most likely take an attack that drops it below 50% HP, activating its ability, Shields Down. Shields Down flips Minior's defensive and offensive stats, turning the Pokemon into a force of absolute destruction after a Shell Smash. Even if you see it coming, it's a strategy that's hard to avoid, and Minior has the potential to tear through teams. For that reason, Minior secures the number 5 spot on our list. Talk about your Pokemon that don't look like much at first. Following up the unassuming Minior, here in the number 4 spot on our list is none other than Pyukumuku. This right here is a Pokemon that shows you that you don't need offensive moves to be a threat. Pyukumuku sports a whopping base 130 defense and special defense, with some amazing support moves to back it up. Do not sleep on Pyukumuku. It gets Toxic, it gets Recover, it gets Substitute, it gets Screens, it gets Curse, and most importantly, it gets Baton Pass. Pyukumuku will make your life hell, and then Baton Pass into a Pokemon that will sweep your entire team. And if you do manage to knock this little thing out from a pretty high point of HP, say goodbye to all of your own HP, thanks to Pyukumuku's signature ability, Innards Out, which takes out an amount of your HP equal to the amount that Pyukumuku lost from the hit that knocked it out. Pyukumuku is genuinely one of the best support mons in the meta right now, which is why it earns the number 4 spot on this list. At number 3, we have perhaps my favorite new Pokemon from Gen 7. But don't think that I let any personal bias affect its spot on this list, because this Pokemon is a real threat. The number 3 best Pokemon from Sun and Moon is Mimikyu. This creepy little monster is nothing to scoff at, and I'm going to tell you why. First of all, in a region with a lot of very slow Pokemon, Mimikyu boasts a very decent 96 base speed, which isn't exactly a lot, but is enough to outspeed a lot of Gen 7 threats. Second, Mimikyu actually gets some decent defenses, which allow it to take at least one hit in most situations. And third, you can make that one hit 2 hits because of Mimikyu's absolutely broken ability, Disguise, which allows Mimikyu to take 0 damage from the first attack it takes in any battle. What this means is that 1. Say goodbye to your sweep if your opponent has a Mimikyu on their team. And 2. Mimikyu will almost always get a turn to set up to +2 with a Swords Dance. Paired with Mimikyu's decent base 90 attack stat and moves such as Shadow Sneak and Play Rough, and Mimikyu becomes one of the strongest competitive Pokemon in Pokemon Sun and Moon, which is why it's here at number 3. At number 2, we have our first and only Alolan form to make this list, Alolan Marowak. I'll admit, when I first saw this Pokemon's stats, I was unimpressed. I thought it didn't have the speed to back up its powerful offensive typing, but as the meta quickly began to form around the new Sun and Moon Pokemon, it became apparent that Alolan Marowak was actually one of the most viable mons from the new game. This is based off some key immunities and resistances, which allow it to absolutely wall some of the most powerful Pokemon to come out of Sun and Moon. First of all, its Ghost typing makes it immune to fighting and normal types, the fighting immunity being much more important than the normal immunity in this case. Plus, it gets the ability Lightning Rod, which makes it also immune to electric type attacks. Finally, it quad resists bug type attacks, resists fairy type attacks, resists fire type attacks, and resists grass type attacks. Say goodbye to mons like Pheromosa, Buzzwole, and Tapu Koko, because Alolan Marowak straight up walls them for days. In any other situation, Alolan Marowak may not have become the beast that it is today, but because of its place in the current meta, it earns its spot at number 2 on this list. And the number 1 best Pokemon in Sun and Moon that is not a Legendary, Tapu, or Ultra Beast is Toxapex. If you played any competitive Gen 7, you don't need me to explain to you why this Pokemon is here at number 1. Its defenses are through the roof at 152 base defense and 142 base special defense. Its typing, Water Poison, while weak to Ground and Psychic, is still one of the best defensive typings in the current meta. It gets access to Scald, and to Toxic Spikes, as well as its signature move, Baneful Bunker, which is a Protect type move that poisons any Pokemon that makes contact with it. As if that weren't enough, Toxapex gets access to 2 of the most broken abilities in the game, Merciless and Regenerator. The first, Merciless, makes all attacks on poisoned Pokemon critical hits, which, combined with Toxapex's many ways of poisoning Pokemon, is an absolutely deadly combination, even for a Pokemon with low base attack stats. If you're not up for that, and are more interested in keeping Toxapex alive, you can rock out with Regenerator, which restores 1/3 of your HP every time you retreat the Pokemon. Basically, this Pokemon will never die. Toxapex is on another level from all the other Pokemon on this list, and that is why it absolutely deserves the number 1 spot as the best non-legendary, non-Tapu, non-Ultra Beast Pokemon in Sun and Moon. So what do you think? Did I miss any Pokemon and put something higher than it should have been? Let me know in the comments down below, and be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. This has been The Geek Theorist. Until next time.